Andrew, let's kick it off with you.
Yes.
There are lots of different use cases and products for leveraging AI as part of the creative process. Can you start us off with a level set? Like, what are the 2 or 3 core areas of focus for Celtra in this case?
Yeah, sure. And also the lone salesman on this platform as well today, or the panel as well. So we have multiple enhancements around design and production is where we've sort of pragmatically started focusing with AI. So AI background removal. So every time we demo that to anyone, production and designers, their eyes light up. And they're like, give me all of the AI background removal that you've got, which has been great. And then next, kind of sticking with imagery, doing intelligent cropping of assets as well. So defining that focal point and then having that same crop applied across where that image is used, across all the different formats, channels, and sizes, but also being respectful of the boundary in the container that it lives within. Generative copy. So copywriters love this, so they no longer have writer's block, translations, tone of voice, etc. But all inside of the platform. So that's been incredibly helpful. Kind of like secondary to that, also leveraging AI. I feel like I'm going to say AI, and everyone needs to take a shot or do something every time that we say AI. But getting into also making sure that all this content that's being produced is also on brand guidelines. So, you're producing a ton of content at scale, but just making sure that that's all being measured for brand guidelines and guardianship before it's shipped out the door. And I think you asked for 2 or 3, but I'm going to give you a bonus one. But thinking about predictive generation of assets as well. So looking at historical data, scoring it, and then surfacing that within the platform so designers don't have to start from a place of guessing if it's going to perform well, but can look at historical creatives that have performed well in media and then servicing those to designers in the platform so they can start from a place of predictability.
So it really does seem like Celtra is almost like an extension of the design team's brain, if you will, right? Like to help them sort of move along the process.
We want to give them superpowers.
Right.
Yeah.
Erin, in the context of that, where does AI fit in the production process for your team?
Right now we use it a lot in kind of the pre-sell part of it, the visualization for clients, whether it's pitches or trying to articulate an idea so that we can go out and make it. We do a lot of film production that is still kind of a space from a generative AI standpoint that it can represent the idea, can get you kind of having the conversation, getting clients to imagine what this could be, but certainly doesn't get us all the way there. So we use it as a tool to help articulate that idea to our clients, sell that stuff through so that we get permission to go out and shoot it and make it for real. So it's really exciting to hear about all the interesting advancements with AI. It's exciting for designers and creatives and the like. And for us, it's really important to make sure that there is still that human touch and that we're involved in that process, the craftsmanship, the taking it that extra 10%. The manual labor part of it is great, but it's no replacement for the human touch and those design sensibilities. And that's something as a creative producer we take really seriously. So how can we, to your point, supercharge the labor part of it so that we can get to the making quicker, so that we can spend the time and allocate those resources, money and human hours to take it into production and build that into something great.
But I love what you said about kind of that storyboarding process, because it's almost like you don't waste as much time kind of coming up with a concept before you get the approval from the client. That seems like a very cool use case. So, Clarissa, your agency is not on the creative side, but so how is your team using AI right now, and how does that connect to the creative process?
Yeah, my team is not on the creative side. We are building things for our creative partners, and much like Erin said and Andrew said, we are looking to build solutions for our creative teams at Omnicom we really think about it as inspiration in the early creative process. So how can we inspire them with knowing more about who their audience is? How can we inspire them to create visuals and imagery, not having to use, Photoshop, kind of spending a lot of time creating images in Photoshop and then having to be like, oh, that's not right, and having to constantly iterate on that using AI, you can create these images very quickly, and so you can create that inspiration and can get, as Erin said, that approval from the clients faster. But then also on the back end, once we have shot the creative, we have to do a creative augmentation. We may be putting the same creative in multiple languages, translation, and helping to speed all the creative iterations that are necessary. So we are helping our teams to find the right technology like Aceltra to enable what they need to do faster and integrate it into our full process.
So it's interesting because I imagine we had this conversation last year. A lot of people were still just talking and trying to figure out how to integrate it in the process, but it seems like both your teams are actively leveraging AI, maybe just not in the way that everyone assumes. So are there use cases, that have come up with your team where you wish you had a tool or a tool to supplement or automate the process that doesn't exist yet?
I think there are some tremendous growth opportunities that are happening in AI. I think, honestly, I don't even know what we don't know yet. So there's a world where it's like we are trying to, like I said, augment our creative process, find ways to supercharge the creativity piece of it. But again, it's like the ways we can augment, honestly, animatics, that would be great. Like sweet animated animatics. That'd be great. That's the one thing for sure. But it's like there are lots of things that we are able to use today, and we don't even know what's possible. So it's hard to say, I guess.
Andrew, you got to talk to your product team. You got to be like, we need.
Yeah, get in there. Get in there.
Yeah.
Come on.
Clarissa, any tool that you wish existed right now?
I don't know if there's a specific tool, much like Erin, we don't even know what we don't know yet, but I think for me, some of the tools need to get more sophisticated. Some of the image generation tools are a bit immature. I don't want to. And so I think that I just need them to get tighter to be truly usable in a lot of cases. And that's going to happen. That's the nature of technology, is that it's only going to get better. We are, we are at the bottom of the AI hockey stick that is hitting us, but I don't know that we don't have things per se, as much as like they're just not at the level we need them to be to truly replace what we have done
already
in the past.
So let's talk about efficiency and cost savings, because those are definitely key benefits that come up as a reason to leverage AI. Erin, I'm going to start with you. You kind of touched on this, but are we in this magical future where the creatives have time to be creative now instead of doing repetitive tasks and responding to RFPs? Or is there still some time? Does it take time to onboard? Does it take time to get people to learn how to use these tools?
Absolutely. I think it does. It takes time to get people to understand the power of the tools. And we talk about this a lot. When we think about the next generation of creatives and as they're coming up, a lot of how we cut our teeth, how we build our eye, our creative taste is through the manual labor parts of it. So there's a world where we have to figure out where is that middle ground, where we're still using it as a training ground for those young creatives, for those young producers and editors, post-production folks to really understand how that process works so that they can speak to the tools, use the tools to replace those, steps 1 through 17 to get to the next one immediately. They need to understand what those steps are. And, I think our ability to shortcut that is amazing. But when we think about training the next generation of creatives, it's really important to make sure that it's not skipped altogether, that learning process still exists in some way. But again, it supercharges the ability to prioritize the craft from originating the content in real life, I guess.
It's interesting. I think about that from a writer perspective. That's what I went to school for, right? Journalist by trade. And like, it's very nice to not have to start from a blank page. But I do think there's something to be said for ensuring that people know grammar and style,
Exactly.
right? And
Yeah.
so it's like you want to give them the efficiency and save the time, but you still want them to learn their craft, if you will.
Honestly, I mean, I know you kind of meant to say learn, but earn. There's a
Earn
bit
their
of like,
craft.
you do need to earn it,
Earn it,
right?
right.
Especially as a creative, there's a lot of like, you have to go through the ropes. You have to understand. You have to fail several times before you become good at what you do. And that's the balance with AI is still creating that playful space where you can use it as a tool in your toolbox, but it doesn't replace the process and the learn, fail fast, and keep moving part of creativity.
Andrew, any new tool is an investment. And agencies don't have extra funds to devote to tools unless they deliver. So how quickly are your clients seeing an ROI from working with Celtra? And is there a learning curve?
Yeah, so in the process, we always like to identify upcoming campaigns where this could be leveraged. Creative automation could be leveraged. We don't believe in aspiration scaling. We need to make sure that there is an actual practical use case where this needs to be used. So typically 30 to 45 days or whenever that first campaign is launched, they'll realize cost efficiency, efficiency of working time to actually launch that campaign. And then, there's a learning curve with every new tool. We have a phenomenal enterprise customer success team and solutions team that handholds through the entire process for true enterprise software. So it's not one of these things where we just say, here it is, good luck out there. We walk them through the entire process and make sure that it's wildly successful. But yeah, we're used to working with agencies, and we know, we're not just going to foist something onto them and then, hopefully they'll figure it out. Yeah, that's not the way we work.
Clarissa, let's talk money. Are your teams actually saving time, and is OMD saving money by integrating AI solutions? And if so, how do you measure that?
The answer is not yet. We are still in the learning phase. We are still in the change of behavior phase. We anticipate we will be saving money, but I think because it does take a little longer the first few times that somebody integrates this in. We're in a place of transformation of how our teams work, and so, and as users of technology for years and years, we expect this. So we didn't go in and say, hey, we're going to save money,
Today.
year one, today, we're going to release this, and it's instantly going to save us money. We recognize that actually in the short term, we're hiring more people because we have to build AI solutions before the team, and then we have to train the teams, and we have to get it out there in the world. We do expect it's going to save us money in the long term, or at least shift what we're able to do. So, by automating or, helping to speed up some of those either mundane tasks or the things that might take, like it used to take people several days to do an audience profile. I can now do that in a matter of minutes. And so we can take people's time from, going through Excel files of data attributes about people, and now we can move on to insights faster, and people can be more creative and more innovative and can drive outcomes for our clients faster than they could before. Does that mean I'm going to get rid of people? I don't know that that's true. We like to say no. But yeah, the answer is I don't know if it'll save us money. We hope it will, but what I also hope is that it's actually just going to make the work that much better.
So, there's a bunch of rabbit holes we can go down because that's a big question in terms of, hey, we're we're saving time, we're saving money. Does this person need to do a job? But I have a slightly more, prickly question to ask you all, and it's around images and IP and AI. There's a movement to help to start to identify whether images or videos were created with AI. There's also an industry effort called C2PA, which is aimed at helping media owners tag and identify their content so that if a deepfake comes out or it's otherwise manipulated, both the user and they know that this wasn't the original intent. Does creative that was generated with AI need to be tagged or identified in some way? Like if, for example, here at Cannes, if a campaign, used AI as part of the creative process, does that need to be identified?
I think that there are a couple things with that. Specifically with our relationships with our clients and our MSAs, there is a lot we still need to suss out from an ownership standpoint. A lot of agencies are set up as work for hire relationships to their clients, and inherently generative AI is not ownable. So there is really a lot of conversation from a legality and clearance standpoint that needs to get sussed out. The IP thing is very important to us. A lot of the creative agencies are members of the SAG union, and we want to make sure that talent is protected and that we're doing everything kind of on the level and in accordance with those guidelines. I think when it comes to using generative AI in campaign work, if everyone is on board with it and it's really interesting and it's not manipulative or misleading and it's not, representing itself as news or informative content, I think it's an interesting thing to consider, and I think we'd be foolish to assume that we could keep a lid on it, to be honest. But it's all about making sure that there is transparency in that and an awareness on that, specifically for our clients. And then, we work in this creative mass communication space, and, the journalism space is a much different and has a different code of ethics and absolutely needs to have a lot of transparency when it comes to deepfake stuff and, manipulation of public sentiment and all of that. But in this space, it's a little bit more playful. It's a little bit more creative. So I think if it's transparent and everybody's on board and we're able to kind of do things on the level, I don't see a problem with that.
Clarissa or Andrew?
Yeah, sure, happy to go. Concur. So I think
Good answer.
Yeah, great idea. I think transparency is key in this. So, speaking this from I'll just say from a social media perspective.
Right.
I never think of that as an absolute source of truth for what's real and what's not. I think we've all learned that. But there are plenty of times where even I am scrolling through, looking at things, and can be completely fooled by a deep fake, where I think, did this person really say that? If they did, I don't know how I feel about them.
Right.
And then you really need to start thinking about, was this created by AI? Chances are yes. So I believe transparency is key. Legislation is going to have a hard time keeping up with the breakneck speed of AI, but it's something that I believe is completely necessary going forward, just to making that distinction. So if you have some sort of affinity for a brand and then you see something that is put out via AI or some sort of deep fake, it may change completely how you feel about that brand going forward. So I think it's pretty critical moving forward.
Clarissa, I want to get to you, but Andrew, maybe one more question.
Yeah.
Celtra as the platform that sort of enables this, do you have, are your clients coming to you and saying, hey, can you help us identify this content? Is that part of, I know you're not on the product team, but is that part of the roadmap at all in terms of helping your clients kind of differentiate?
Not yet. They're not coming to this with that yet. But I think what makes Celtra interesting is that we are sort of the engine and the software behind it. So they bring the content into it. So they're wholly responsible for what's being brought into the platform. But yeah, I think separately, really quickly, because I know we're running out of time, and I'm cognizant of this countdown timer here, because it's right in our face.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come out with a cane.
But also
you off the stage.
thinking about also sticking
No.
sticking points. But typically, our clients, we work with a lot of large enterprise clients, a lot of the Fortune 100, some of the Fortune 5, if you will, and a lot of times, question number one is, what are you doing in AI? Can you talk to us about it? And then the next question is, could this possibly be turned off? Because I think a lot of the legacy ways of working are not ready for that sort of change management yet to adopt it. So those are kind of the two first questions that we get from any brand that we work with.
Clarissa, you were going to have the last word.
Okay. So one thing that I've been thinking about as it relates to this idea of transparency is around like the celebrity endorsement. We've all seen, Charlotte Johansson saying, "Hey, OpenAI stole my voice," and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the celebrity endorsement kind of evolves. If we can start making up voices to sound like celebrities, but they're not. So for me, I think there's going to be some sort of talent transparency that's going to have to come out. You may have seen earlier this year where a jeans brand decided to create ethnic models. So like that kind of transparency in terms of the talent, I think is going to be necessary. As we as marketers think about not only what is legally acceptable or, but also what is ethically the right thing to be doing. So that's my thought on
That's
transparency.
fabulous. We talked about money. We talked about ethics. I mean, we talked about creative.
This is
This was a
deep
perfect
stuff.
panel.
Yeah, no
Can we give
kidding.
them a round of applause?